Welcome back to Motor World, the place where history rolls on tracks and steel roars louder than engines. Today, we're taking a ride into the battlefield with one of the most feared American tank destroyers of World War II, the M10 Wolverine, a beast that didn't rely on brute force alone, but on smart design, speed, and deadly precision. Let's fire up the engine of history and explore what made the Wolverine such a game-changer. In the early 1940s, the battlefield was dominated by German Panzers that were tearing through Europe. The U.S. Army needed something fast, powerful, and capable of stopping enemy tanks before they could overrun Allied lines. The answer wasn't just a new tank, it was a whole new category of vehicle, the tank destroyer. That's where the M10 Wolverine stepped in. Born for emergency, built for purpose, the M10 was based on the reliable M4 Sherman chassis, but with some key upgrades. Its main weapon was a 3-inch, 76.2mm gun, specifically designed to take out enemy armor from a distance. This wasn't just a tank, it was a hunter, designed to move quickly into position, deliver a powerful blow, and reposition before the enemy could react. Unlike traditional tanks, the M10 had an open-top turret. This gave the crew better visibility and communication, especially helpful in the chaos of combat, but it also made them vulnerable to artillery, snipers, and air attacks. Still, this was a calculated risk, and for many battles, it paid off. Under the hood, the M10 was powered by a General Motors 6046 diesel engine, a twin-engine setup that produced around 375 horsepower. That gave it a top speed of about 30 miles per hour, which might not sound like much today, but back then, it was fast enough to outmaneuver many enemy tanks. Its operational range was close to 200 miles, allowing it to cover serious ground without needing constant refueling. Weighing in at roughly 29 tons, the M10 was lighter than most of the German tanks it faced, like the Panzer or the dreaded Tiger. But that wasn't a weakness, it was part of its strategy. This machine wasn't made for slugfests, it was made to flank, ambush, and escape before the enemy could bring its full firepower to bear. One of the standout features of the M10 was its sloped armor. While the actual thickness wasn't impressive, about 1.5 inches at the front, of the angle of the armor gave it a better chance to deflect incoming rounds. It was a smart use of geometry over brute strength. When it came to combat, the Wolverine made its name in several key theaters of World War II. It first saw action in North Africa, where its mobility was perfect for desert warfare. From there, it trolled through Italy, blasted its way through Normandy after D-Day, and pushed deep into France and Germany. Wherever there were German tanks, the M10 wasn't far behind, waiting for its chance to strike. The gun itself had decent penetration, capable of knocking out Panzer IVs and Stu-GS. But as the war went on and heavier German armor appeared, the M10 started to struggle against Panthers and Tigers. This led to upgrades in the field, with some British units replacing the 3-inch gun with the powerful 17-pounder. This variant was called the Achilles, and it turned the M10 into a true tank killer. Now, you might be thinking, if it wasn't heavily armored and didn't have the biggest gun, why was it such a big deal? The answer lies in how it was used. The M10 was part of a larger doctrine: hit hard, move fast, and don't give the enemy time to respond. It wasn't about tank-on-tank duels in the open. It was about choosing your moment, taking the shot, and disappearing before return fire could land. One limitation, though, was the manual turret traverse. That's right, no powered turret here. The crew had to hand-crank the turret into position. It sounds primitive, but again, it kept the design simple and reduced mechanical failure. And when you're sitting behind enemy lines waiting to take the perfect shot, simplicity can be a lifesaver. More than 6,700 M10s were produced by the end of the war, while newer and more advanced tank destroyers like the M36 Jackson would take over later. The M10 held the line when it mattered most. It was a symbol of American ingenuity, using available resources to make something fast, reliable, and deadly. But let's not forget the men who crewed these machines. They operated in an open turret, often exposed to danger from above, constantly on the move. scanning the battlefield for threats. It wasn't just about driving and firing, it was about awareness, teamwork, and nerves of steel. These crews turned a clever design into a battlefield legend. Today, the M10 Wolverine stands as a symbol of tactical evolution in warfare. You can still find preserved M10s in museums and memorials, proudly displayed as reminders of a time when speed and smarts could take down even the toughest foes. It wasn't the most armored, and it wasn't the most powerful, but it was fast, it was effective, and it got the job done. And that's what Moto World is all about. Hey, celebrating the machines that made history, not just with metal, but with the minds and bravery behind them. The M10 Wolverine wasn't just a tank destroyer, it was a revolution on tracks, a hunter that roamed the battlefields with purpose and precision. Thanks for riding along with us into the history of the M10 Wolverine. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Moto World for more stories of legendary machines. Drop your favorite tank or vehicle in the comments, say who knows, maybe it'll be our next feature. Until next time, stay sharp and keep your engines running.